Alright, so last tutorial for today, we'll just start a new project. It goes into audio plugins, or we go into audio plugins, and what do we start with? Tutorial 3 plugin. Yeah, let's just do it like this on our space as normal. Alright, so you see we have a few more classes. Let's open them in Visual Studio. I think I forgot last time to scale the text up a little bit. Sorry about that if it was too small. Alright, so yeah, it's still loading. It's gonna take some time. Good, okay. I hope this is enough. Yeah, well, it gets messy a lot now since there's a ton of things in here. Let's just quickly start. I'll remove some of the things that are maybe not as necessary right now. Okay. So the plugin editor is pretty much the graphical part of our VST plugin, and the plugin processor is actually for the audio processing, as you might have guessed. Now, you maybe haven't seen this, or I hope you have seen this, that we have two different classes. So we have a plugin editor.h and a plugin.cpp. So the difference is here in our header file we actually just predefine the methods or have them be here, so it's pre-processed, I guess. So these would then stand here on top, and now we would just have to define them in the CPP file. So here's actually all the code behind these. Holy shit! And here's just everything that's in the parameters and geez, how are these called in English? The stuff that you could give back integer instead of void. So yeah, although you're not limited to not write your methods in here, you're free to do that. It's just a way to organize in C++, I guess. Although a lot of people hate this, as far as I've heard. But yeah, so this is how it all pretty much looks like. So that's the plugin editor. Right now it only prints its background. The plugin processor CPP file, you can see it's a little bit more complicated. There's a ton of things here. I'll show you in my opinion, the most important things. It's the process block and the prepare to play, and yeah, release resources. So the process block is where you again define your audio output, and here you can actually see some of the things we had already. Channel data is a buffer write pointer. Huh, that's cool, right? And here's also the channel stuff. So that's stuff we have seen already in the first tutorial. And we actually have a MIDI buffer. So MIDI buffers, or MIDI messages, are for stuff like keyboards and such, or just MIDI in general for as a format, I guess, to geez, I don't know how these are called. You know what's MIDI about, what MIDI is about. in producing. It's just to get these, you know, you have your MIDI output here, these output stuff in the options menu, I think. So if you would play or not, I guess. But if I would turn on my keyboard, you would see the MIDI messages. So note on, note off, pitch bend. I didn't pitch bend. Holy shit. But you can see all this stuff is MIDI information. So yeah, let's just go ahead and see if this is already working to compile. Now, problem with this though, let's get this going again. We'll go into the folder of this whole stuff now though, since that is somewhat important. Oops, don't delete it. So in the build, 64-bit, debug, oh no, we actually go into here, VST, and there's our DLL that was now created for 64-bit, since we had defined it here. So now we can actually take this DLL file and go into my VST folder where I have a lot of shit, and now actually go into FL Studio, make it look for new things. I'm not sure if you hear the audio in here. I hope you do. Yeah, I have quite a bit of VSTs already. Okay, so it's an effect. So we just take it in here, and that's how our plugin looks like right now. That's about it, really. But that's cool, right? So to make this somewhat easier for us, to just run and see our DLL file be processed, what I'll do is sort of show you a good way with the plugin host. I think they also have a tutorial about this. I'm not quite sure. So let's go into the Juice folder, into the examples, the audio plugin host. Go into the plugin host, run it with Juice, or we just look for it. Sorry that it's taking a little bit. Okay, so now we can say okay, process with Visual Studio, save it. Here it's actually important, maybe you haven't defined this. I've gotten some errors sometimes when VST3 SDK wasn't defined, and you actually need to download the VST3 SDK, and I have it in my desktop here, and it's just pointing to this stuff. Okay, that's about that. So let's run this in Visual Studio. So you actually need to have this compile. I already have done that. So what you then get, what you then get is the build off of this, which is an X file, exe file, I guess. Here, plugin host, and you actually see this is somewhat of what FL Studio does as well. It just hosts the plugins. Yeah, my old plugin cannot load in this one. I'm not sure why it properly loads in FL Studio. But we can say here, well, make a new one. Okay, so it doesn't crash. But what we can say now is, okay, when we compile, it actually then opens up this plugin host from Juice. And then we can say, okay, find our plugin, and then run it, or we can see it here quickly, so we don't have to do some copying of our DLL file, put it into our VST folder, then run FL Studio or whatever host, and then so on and so forth. So we just wanna get this debug or this location go into our debug things here. C++. Okay, so in debugging the target path, we just want to replace with how is it called? Plugin host.exe. Plugin host.exe. So once we compile, we just want to call the exe file, and it should indeed work. Alright, so we called that. We want to go to new, and now we want to save this so it doesn't call the last one. We'll just call host tutorial 3. And we now just need to define where it has to look for a new plugin. Just scan it. Okay, it found the new one, the tutorial 3 plugin, which is this one. Now we can go for this one. And we see we have 2 inputs, 2 outputs. And we could, connect these to the actual output. And here's our plugin. And that's it. So we can quickly see what is going on here. And save. Cool. So now we can actually go in. Finally, we can go in and do things like fill rectangle or whatever you want to do with this. So, and in the end, you can then get your DLL file and actually go to your normal host or whatever and try it out there. Oof. Okay. So why don't we try to add some sliders and make them change stuff. So we'll actually go for scope pointers. So this is a better pointer from Juce itself, and it essentially is somewhat similar to this here. By the way, this is just sort of from what I've understood. Correct me if I'm wrong. So this is similar to this one, but we don't actually have to then in our destructor call delete volume slider. What we should do, what I've seen people do, is just say this in the destructor. Now, what is better, what is wrong, you have to look for yourself. But we're just going to use scope pointers for now. So scope pointer slider, and that's now a volume slider. And we can go ahead. Well, that's the actual the constructor for the scope pointer. Object to transform. What we could do is then say like new scoped pointer. Oh no, I think we can even say a new slider already. Yeah, let's say slider style rotary. That slider, no text box. Yeah, and that does work. No errors. So we've already defined how it looks. It's private. Now what we have to do, like before, is just add the slider, volume slider. Again, set things like set range, not swap width. Oh yeah. Since it's a pointer, we actually need to use this other one. This minus and then point. It's pretty much the other. I think it's similar to this here. No, what was it? Volume slider dot. It was like some weird things. I think it's the same as this one. Okay, somewhat similar. But this pretty much replaces it. So set range 0.0, 1.1, 1.0, and the interval of this. Cool. So now we just have to resize it. Cool thing, what we can do is just say auto R, and then get local bounds, which gets, I think, the rectangle of our component, which is the editor. So the whole size of 400 by 300. So now we can just say our volume slider has the set bounds of R, which is in a rectangle. So here we could just say rectangle int, or what this gives back, returns, and then that. So auto pretty much does it already, but I'll just use it like that. So I think that's about it. You know, we could add some listeners already. I think that would be good. Volume slider, add listener, this one. We just need to add some listeners here. Listener. Then void tutorial 3 plugin, not the best name again. Slider value changed. So we still need to add this in our H file, since it's not defined here yet. Alright. Cool. No errors, so if slider to check is equals to the volume slider. Now it is already a pointer, so we don't need to set the reference or the pointer to it. So if it's a volume slider, what we could now do is here we could have like a public value like double level that's defined as 0. In our process block we could then say get num samples. We don't want to clear this. A bunch of text that you can look for, some explanation. But what we'll do here is, for now, just buffer apply again, then say our level. And here we could say level is equals to volume slider. Oh no, we actually need to get the processor. Then the level equals volume slider dot get value. Oof, and that's it. So a processor is a variable that was declared here and actually gets defined. Here the processor is the parameter that we got here, and it pretty much is this whole thing. So we have the value of the variable level and can change it from here. Pretty cool. So now we could run this, but we won't be able to check this out. But you see it doesn't crash. Here's what we have. Now to actually check if that was right, we can go into the generation here in our build. It's very complicated here. Let's just bring this VST up here again. Okay. Our DLL file goes into our actual VST folder. We'll replace the old one, then run it. Let me see if you can actually hear the audio real quick. Gotta do this real quick. Okay. Okay, you hear it. So now we could generate some audio with, I don't know, do a quick pattern. Okay, and then I'll plug in, add it to the master channel. So now we don't hear anything. Cool. That's already it. So we take the incoming audio data and we just say, through the buffer.apply gain, we just can, set the new value range from, that it has now. And we could already add automation, I think. No, okay. So that's what I've tried to do just recently, and I've gotten into, I got it working, adding automation, but now it gets a little bit more complicated because we actually have to work with the host. Like, we don't see any parameters here, for example. We need to add those to the actual host to get this working, and then we sort of have to, once the internal values change and automation actually works, we need to update the graphics itself. So that's sort of what I've done in here already with my plugin. I can quickly show you this. Come on. So that's as far as I've gotten. It also works, but I can also already tweak the automation, create automation clip, and already do this kind of stuff. Does it work? Yeah, I'm getting some errors, but because I'm trying out some other stuff. But this automation would already do things that we had here. Yeah, and the whole host now crashes. It doesn't properly quit. That's my problem because the actual plugin doesn't work. But yeah, that's about it so far. Let me take a look at how long this video is already. 20 minutes. All right. So we'll check out the other things later, next time. And yeah, let me know what you think about the series. Again, I think I didn't say this in the beginning. No one's really doing any tutorials anymore about Juice. I think that's a little sad, honestly. I think Juice is pretty cool, and more people should do more videos on this, especially people that know a little bit more about it. I mean, I'm not the best programmer. I haven't been too much into Juice yet, but it's still somewhat sad that not a lot of people are covering this topic, especially DSP-wise, even though Juice is somewhat popular in this field. But yeah, let me know what you think. Until next time, see you.